I go live this morning real quick. Thinking about doing this last night, but I didn't. I'm going to do the episode today on the Sun in Capricorn. But first, I just want to come on here and say that my last video yesterday, by the way, if this doesn't immediately work out, then it eventually will. That's what I found out through the test that I just did. So, anyway. Also, um, my aim with these videos and with everything that I do on my channel is to empower you to be fully yourself, to empower you to be your true, most authentic, most loving self that you can be. Unfortunately, the YouTube algorithms are not supporting me on that process. I mean, what's your choice? Would you rather see me look up and look away from the camera and just talk and you're like, what are you looking at? Look at the camera, it looks weird. Or hear my voice with a picture, just an audio of my voice. I mean, what would you rather? It's really, really difficult for me to look at the camera, to look at what's going on in the camera. So doing my best. But anyway, I want to empower everybody. And that's my service of shining my own light for the collective, for the group, for the community, for the larger world. That's my Leo Aquarius contribution. And I'm not getting the reciprocity from that. I'm not getting the views or anything from that, which is really, really disappointing. I don't know if I'm going to be seeing any comments for this live stream at all. But anyway, so this is just another acknowledgement of what's going on right now in the world of astrology. I follow that because I am not an astrologer, but I have paid attention to what has been going on lately with the astrology community. And lately there have been a lot of dislike and um, and rejection and backlash. Basically, an astrologer said something, it backfired, and it got him in trouble with the United Astrology Conference with the it's called ESAR, some type of, I don't know exactly what it stands for, but all kinds of things, and I break it down in depth in my last podcast episode that I did the other day. That's a very in-depth video where I break down his astrology, the astrology of Steven Forrest, and talk about how his astrology is contributing to this going on right now. Over the course of this South Node in Leo, we're going to be experiencing a fall of kings, a fall of leaders in very, very high positions of power, in very high positions of prestige, in very high positions of all of what they're doing. And, Steven Forrest is one of the, the pioneers of evolutionary astrology. And it is a branch that I am looking at going into And there's a little bit of gray area now that this has happened. Um, and I actually on Facebook, I've been reading on Facebook. Like, why do you go on Facebook? That's, for the older. Well, no, it's not. It's for anyone. And I've been reading the posts. I've been keeping track of what's going on with the posts and everything. I've shared a couple posts to my page. Um, Nobody like any my friends on Facebook have seen anything, keep track of anything I do on there, but I share it anyway. But I did share my post yesterday, my post with the video description and the instructions of how to find the video. I actually shared that to Steven because I wanted him to read those words and I wanted him to maybe even hear what I had to say. And I know that it won't be today because, and I don't want to gossip. I don't want to go around saying, oh, this person's doing this, oh, this person's going that. I know that, I am aware that, and take note of this yourselves, like getting off the noise, getting off the noise and the opinions and the posts and all this and that and this like, and the anger and the upset by taking a day off, just getting outside, getting fresh air, detaching from it. That's very, very wise. And I hope that through that process, um, he can gain a lot of reflection, self reflection on the gravity that just saying a simple word in the way that he did, what it has caused to the astrological community. So hopefully, through that process of self reflection, through that time spent alone with himself, he can come to some realization of, like, oh, what have I done? And hopefully, there will be an official apology because there's been a couple apologies, but they haven't been the most heartfelt, deep, honest, and genuine. And hopefully, there will be an apology that will be occurring that will be um, really kind and really honest. Like, I'm sorry that I did this. It was wrong of me. I'm going to take full responsibility for my words. I don't know what propelled me to do that, but maybe I will do the shadow work and look at my own self and see what caused me to say such a thing. Like that self reflection and that accountability is what we need. And unfortunately, when you are so tied into your ego energy, so much so, it can be a very, very hard pill to swallow when you've done wrong and when you've done the wrong thing, when you've said the wrong thing, and trying to swallow the pill of humility and honesty and doing the shadow work. And I just found that, like, the podcast was republished yesterday. I listened to it. The bad part was edited out, although I didn't hear the minute of the bad part on Facebook. And I also saw this really offensive song that's probably AI, which was about Steven Forrest and his, wrongdoings. Um, and so what was I gonna say to this? Um, what was I gonna say? Um, Forgotten what I was gonna say now. If anyone anyone at all, just a few people view my videos and get something out of it and get an impact of it, then, then great, 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 great. Okay. That's all I want at this point because the algorithms are totally not in my favor at all. So anyway, um, the podcast and what they were discussing, it was saying, talking about defensiveness and humility and looking at your shadows and all those kind of things like that was all perfect. And yet you didn't do that. You didn't embody that with your apology. You didn't embody that with your own word choice and your own being mindful of what comes out of your mouth. And is it from a loving place? Is it from a true place? Or is it just from your ego that just wants to shock and surprise just for wrong reasons? And there is some truth going around that intention and impact are different. I want to argue, though, that I always go back to where is it coming from? It's not that you have to overthink about the impact of your words and sacrifice your authenticity. It is actually being more authentic with being able to focus on a merry motive. A merry motive. Like, is this going to impact others in a positive, compassionate way, or is this going to be harmful? The intention is everything. The intention is everything. So I want to argue against that, as I believe in the power of intention of your words. I believe in the intent being so incredibly strong and so incredibly potent and very, very, up in the chart, powerful, with what's going on. So, your intention is deeply powerful. Your intention is deeply profound. Um, and, I mean, I don't care if I say all these words and nobody hears it because I'm just expressing myself. But apparently, no one has the time or has the knowledge and the I guess the breadth or something to listen to my videos. That's just how it is. Rolling my eyes because I'm very, very upset. Um, but intention is everything. The ego is your false self. When you're in your ego, you're not being true to yourself. You're not being in your integrity completely. And I just think, and I was hearing it, and it was one word, and it was to shock, it was to surprise, and their intention was to bring things to the surface, to be able to talk things out on the podcast that Steven was in, to talk things out and to um, and to bring things to the surface, to be able to release this forbidden um, choice of words that you shouldn't say in public, shouldn't say out loud, but bringing it to the surface and healing it, and making it conscious and releasing it by facing the shadow and saying it out loud and going through it. Now that's great, but the problem is it was in a public situation. Other people thought, like, for example, I have the voice, for instance. I get the voice of curse words that comes about. And I don't say that publicly. I don't say any exposure of the voice publicly. Just like I don't say any curse words publicly. The voice is curse words. I don't use curse words in my videos. I don't use the N word in my videos. And frankly, nobody does, and nobody should. And there's a reason for it. That word, I mean, never, under any circumstances, say that particular word, because that will really, really get you in trouble, because it is deep seated, it is loaded, it is demonic, it has all kinds of history and negativity and prejudice and suffering and abuse inside of it, that just bringing it up dredges up and stirs up all the wounds and all the negativity that has gone on in so much of our history, with blacks getting mistreated and abused and treated as being inhuman, um, basically slaves. If you didn't behave the way that you needed to, if you didn't do your job properly, you were beaten. And I know that sounds terrible. I know that sounds really, really deeply inhuman. But, at the time, given the context, I could sort of see where Stephen was coming from when he said that he realized when he was in his 20s or 30s that blacks were as intelligent as whites. His words, not mine, because apparently there was separate but equal. They didn't have were not taught to read or do all those things. So there is some truth to that, I will argue. Still, there are a lot of things said that were not very mindful, and he wasn't very self aware of really, really taking what he was talking about, all about shadows and all about all this kind of thing, and really, really putting it into practice and embodying it with living it out, and really, really being in that energy of transparency, or excuse me, uh, walking your talk and practicing what you preach. So all these eclipses, the solar eclipse in Leo, we have Jupiter in Leo, we have the Sun in Leo, all these things going on. Um, Jupiter expands whatever it touches. Jupiter expands the possibilities, and in Leo, it's ego. It's an overinflation of your ego, saying that you're better and more entitled than anyone else. And this is really, really having us look at having an ego death. It's really, really having us look at our egos and where they haven't played a good role in our lives. Um, where has our egos got us in trouble? Um, where are we operating from that place? And really, again, it's the Aquarian age. We should all respect each other, and we should all not judge and put down each other based off of our race. We should all be unity, university, and everyone should have the same opportunities as everyone else, yet different interests, different situations, different gifts, different, whatever, unity and diversity, right? So, and this eclipse coming up falls in his 10th house, which is the house of career and reputation and status. So there'll be something ending, something coming to light in regards to that. Um, and the lunar eclipse in Pisces, full moon lunar eclipse, is the sun's conjunct his Saturn in Virgo, around 4 degrees, and then the moon is opposite Saturn in Virgo. His particular Saturn in Virgo, so it's gonna be just gonna be a very, very defining month, and hopefully he finds it in his heart to really, really look at himself deeply and honestly with what all has transpired, with the comments, with the speaking, with the reviews, and all that, and really, really looking at himself and going, oh, wow, I did the wrong thing, and I really put a dent in a lot of my relations with the astrology community, my students, my fellow astrologers, the UAC, whoever, all the people. It's a very big issue right now, and it's impacting a lot of people in the astrology community. So, um, that solar eclipse in Leo is like, where have I not been authentic and shining in my own life, but where have I been egoic? Where have I been allowing my egoic pride to interfere with reason? Where have I been overly defensive? Good, is a good look at where we're overly defensive and where we over explain ourselves, and learning about this and doing that video the other day and talking about this is deeply humbling for me also. It is deeply humbling for you, because we all have an ego. That's part of the human condition, that's part of the human makeup, and sometimes our egos get very humbled by what we say and what we do that is wrong, and then we have to really let our egos surrender our egos and just do the honest true thing that feels true for us inside of our hearts, inside of our souls, and not inside of our limiting beliefs and our um our limited views and our negative views on things. So I'm going to learn from this, and I'm not going to embody what has gone on with his behavior and everything like that in my life. If I am to become an evolutionary astrologer, I will do better. I will actually look at my soul, look at my spirit, and do the work with myself. If I am to become an evolutionary astrologer, I will walk my talk. I will talk about shadow work and all this, and I will do the work if I need to. Because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to be someone who says certain things and doesn't practice what they preach. So, um, these planets in Leo right now, really having us look at people in power, people that we've looked up to, people that we've inspired to, and where they have a very strong ego when they get famous, and where they stop growing in a way, stop evolving when they get to the place of fame. About, we want what's best for the community, we want what's best for the group. Maybe he'll go out and start anew with, you know, standing up for Black Lives Matter, Black, individuals, um, you know, um, and it really shines the light on how astrology has been a predominantly white industry. And so there's going to be some reevaluating and some readjusting and some rethinking and reviewing over the whole state and the whole history and the whole way of being of the astrology community to make it more racially equal, racially just, so that these things do not happen again, so that in the Aquarian age, everyone takes responsibility for what they say, for what they do, and everyone is aware of what they've done wrong and apologizes for it, and lives from a place of authenticity and vulnerability, and but also strength and truth and acceptance of each other, how we are. So there's plenty of videos out there on this. There's plenty of posts. Just thought that I'd come on here and give my last kind of take and spiel on this. I've mentioned this in 3 videos. The Lionsgate Horticultural Signs, obviously the podcast yesterday, and this live stream. So anyway, I'm just going to call it quits. That's just my little pop-in check-in for this issue going on. I just wanted to give some extra thoughts to this. But anyway, bye for now, everybody. Take good care. I'll see you. And by the way, I will do the record the podcast today on the ascendant in Capricorn. I just had to clear this out of the way first, and then I'll get to that podcast on the ascendant in Capricorn today. So tune in for that episode coming up very soon. And bye for now.